I'll tell my mom, right? She'll knew.
And she'll cry herself to sleep and say, why is my son a fucking nerd? Why did I fucking have such a bitch-ass pussy son? Right?
Alright. Let's get started
Is that
here.
too much?
Yes, I'm killing myself tonight.
Okay, thought so.
Alright. So, here's the mouse. Hold on, I should probably have OBS up so I can see what you can see, so just in case. Here's the mouse. Hold on, let's make this a little bigger here. Oh, hideous! Particle physics give me a hadron, dude. Get it? It's a pun. Hadron, hard on. If you're dyslexic, it's hard on anyways. Alright. So here's the mouse. It looks remarkably
That's
similar.
too much.
Looks remarkably similar to the G Pro, except you'll note the wonderful, wonderful thin, flexible, not fraying rubber cable, right? It's not nearly as flexible as the Zowie cables. Like, I don't know if you can see this right now. You can kind of see it when it's hooked up to my bungee right here. That, you see how it doesn't, like, fall down? It doesn't sit down. It kind of pushes up a little bit, and I can kind of, like, keep it up like this. It's because it's not that flexible, but it's, you know, 1,000% better than, the G Pro shit, and I do have the G Pro right here. Unfortunately, this G Pro is, you know, one of the first copies of the G Pro, because I ordered it, like, as soon as Logitech released, you know, oh, hey, we're making this Pro gaming mouse, and Skadoodle and Semphis, and I'm like, oh my god, I love mice, I have to get it, ah! So it's an early copy, which means it's got incredibly light clicks, which sucks, which, you know, I'll show you the #1 problem I always have with these light clicks. It was so fucking annoying. But whenever I would turn, like, quick, like I'm trying to 180 somebody's shooting me from behind, I would scope in immediately, because I would accidentally right-click, right? You can't, my body's in the way here, you can't really see it, but it's pretty frustrating when you accidentally right-click. Gotta make this dude smaller right now. Well, I'm actually not done talking about the features of this wonderful mouse. So that was just an example of why or at least one reason why I think the G203 is better, and it's because these clicks are a lot heavier. They're not heavy, right? Nothing compared to, you know, the FK1 or the ZA or the Nixius. God help Nixius, dude. Those clicks are stiff. It's actually the case that at least my Nixius's clicks were stiffer than my FK1's. And FK1 notoriously has stiff clicks. But these guys, you know, they're pretty light, but they're nowhere near as bad as this guy. So one thing that also makes it better than the G Pro is I'm going to go ahead and put this up next to the microphone here, and you're going to hear a nice... You'll be like, oh, what's that noise? What's happening? This is me squeezing on the body of the mouse. Like, I shit you not, it's actually like caving in, and it's so small you would think, oh, well, they could probably avoid that problem by making it sturdy, because usually the smaller things are, the sturdier they are, right? But unfortunately, this guy's just like, it's like a fucking sponge, right? You don't want that. You don't want that. But like I said, this was an early copy of the G Pro, so these might have been fixed in later iterations of it. I know that they make really, really small changes based off of feedback initially, and that's part of, like, ordering things early online. Of course, it's got the, you know, force of 1,000 tanks middle click. That's really frustrating, but, you know, how frustrating is it really? I don't have it bound to anything in game, so I will never actually have any issues with it. But, you know, when you're clicking out of browsers and shit, I don't know if you know this, but you can middle click a tab to, you know, close the browser instead of actually clicking on the X. It's kind of annoying, but not that big of a deal. The DPI button feels exactly the same as the G Pro. And once again, people that complain about DPI buttons, like, oh, the DPI button's too stiff, it's too soft, it sounds like shit. It's like, how often are you pressing the DPI button? What do you have it bound to?
Hello?
It's in a very uncomfortable spot, right? Like, what? Who binds shit to this?
Hey guys.
No offense if you do. I mean, everybody's got their shit. This doesn't have a lot of buttons, so I can understand if you're like a MOBA player or a PS player, you might want to have other binds, but you know,
wanna
I'm
play
an
some CS
FPS
more?
player, so I don't have to worry about it. Also, I pressed my DPI
Sure,
button
after,
one too many times.
like,
I actually haven't re-downloaded
You're watching
downloaded
Ryan's
the
video?
Logitech
I don't know. We just said to
software.
watch it.
Holy shit, my friends are like
We
talking
can- I
right
can
now,
hear the
and it's
echo
really
on the game.
fucking me up.
This Twitch?
Oh god.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh god.
I'm watching it. I don't see what
but-
this fucking shit is.
Anyways,
You can't even fucking hear him now.
yeah. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go
Dude,
into
take this fucking app.
I'm gonna go into a
Advertisement
different
off,
channel.
man.
Holy shit. Let's get out of here. Okay, we're good. Hey, your webcam is a little small. Can you make it a little bit?
Yo,
My
man.
webcam is so big that I can't
Hey.
see it. Alright, I'm just gonna go into a completely. I'm just gonna leave. Actually, best thing, I can just leave Discord. That's a really quick way to fix any problem there. But anyways, haven't re-downloaded the Logitech software because I've been using a ton of different mice in the past like 2 to 3 weeks. Like the Death Adder, mostly, the Nixius Rebel, the FK1, and the EC1A. I've got, you know, problems with all of them in some minor way, and I'm sure I'll find a problem with this mouse eventually, but as I can tell right now, it is perfect. But I don't have the software, which means I haven't unbound the DPI button, which means if I accidentally press it, you know, I'm fucking up. But let's go ahead and make this smaller here. We kind of talk about the features in the mouse, but obviously rubber cable, huge bonus. So what's ridiculous to me is that this mouse is half the cost as the G Pro, as it stands on Logitech's website right now. Or maybe it's not quite half the cost, might be a little bit more, but either way, it's super cheap relative to the G Pro, and it sincerely feels like an upgrade from the G Pro, at least from my earlier generation G Pro. You know, obviously the build quality is better. As people have mentioned, it is grippier, though I'm not sure if that's mental. Maybe like I wore off a little bit of coating on this guy, and now this guy's fresh, and that's what makes it feel grippier. But the texture does feel different in some way. But it's definitely a better feeling mouse, even though they're identical in shape. But the buttons feel slightly better, at least with respect to not being as sensitive. And then the middle click, obviously, as I mentioned, easier to press down. The sensor, this is something I don't understand, right? The sensor is perfect. Like, I can usually tell the difference between the 3310 and the 3366. I cannot tell any difference between this sensor and the 3366. So if they downgraded, whoop-de-fucking-do, right? Like, if it costs them less money and they're still able to produce sensors like this that, you know, don't fail any tilt slam tests. This is, you know, me being retarded, but I assure you it's not failing the tilt slam test. If you don't know what that is, just look it up. It's like, why waste money on 18 billion DPI sensors when you can make a perfectly perfect 6,000 DPI sensor that feels just as responsive as all the other more expensive ones, right? You're just kind of wasting money at that point. But the sensor just feels flawless. Like, all my clicks feel on point. If I miss something, I know for a fact it's user error or lag. You know? Especially on bots. I feel like I lag a lot on bots. But it's a good sensor. So, I mean, obviously the Logitech G Pro sensor is just as good. You know, some would say it's better, but I would be really, really impressed if someone could just straight up, you know, use the two different sensors in the same mouse and tell me that they're different, because they just feel identical. And then it's the G Pro. So I'll just talk about the shape now, because that's, you know, more of a review type thing. If you've ever used the G100S, it feels a lot like the G100S, except the edges are like curved down and not straight. And people say, oh, it doesn't feel like the G100S because of that. But I would say that 99% of the time, if you like the G100S, you will like this mouse. Like, there are only, you know, the few people that go on r/mouse review, right? As I do, because I'm anal about shit like that as well. But I'd say most people would like it a lot. And I have big hands. They are 21 centimeters from here to here. Whoa. From here to here. Right, so from the first crease up there. And this is a small mouse. By every means, it's a small mouse. I think that most people would classify it as small no matter what their hand size is. And I love it. It doesn't cramp my hand at all. I usually palm grip. When I first started playing CS, I had Death Adder, and I was used to palm gripping that. And then I moved to the SteelSeries Rival, which is just a mouse that basically forces you to palm grip. And I was fine with that. But then I switched to the G203, and I started liking fingertip, or the way that I hold my mouse now, which is kind of like a relaxed claw grip. But the shape of the G203, I mean, you love it or you hate it. It turns out that I just didn't really like it too much. It wasn't that great for me. But it, gave me a taste of holding mice like this, and I found out after, tons of usage that this actually is the most comfortable and allows me to play the longest without having any pain in my wrists, my fingers and my forearm, which is something that I've been dealing with personally for, 2 years, 3 years now, which sucks, and I've had to have periods of breaking. But with these smaller mice, I haven't had those issues, and I think that's wonderful. And I'm probably going to stick with this mouse. I say that I say that a lot about mice, as most people on the subreddit that I posted a link to this do. But I hope I do. It's a good mouse. But one more thing that people are probably going to argue with me about, and they're perfectly right in doing so. I replaced the mouse feet on the Logitech G Pro. And I replaced them with the Hotline Games ones, and they are ridiculously smooth. And people say, oh, well, the less friction, the better, the more control you have, and blah, blah, blah. But I will say that they were too smooth. It was like Keith Stone, right? Just too smooth. And I found myself, I would always over-aim. I would just be like, oh, I'm flicking to this guy, but I won't be able to hit his head. I'll just slightly aim over it. Or when I'm opping, that was the one thing that really, because I'm an opper. I love to sniper rifle. I love to use the sniper rifles. So when I'm missing shots, when I'm flicking, or the thing that would happen to me the most would be I would be on a guy, but as I'm shooting, I'd flick off a little bit because it's just so fucking smooth that I barely move my wrists. And I don't play on a very high sense, but it's it was really difficult for me to control. So replacing the mouse feet on that guy, I think, was the wrong decision. And these mouse feet, they're fantastic. They feel a little bit more grippy than these Hotline games, but I think it's that little bit that, at least I need. Maybe if you prefer it, the Hotline Games ones are super cheap, and I will say they're the smoothest mouse feet you are ever going to find. Even the Hyperglides. Yeah, I just got Hyperglides for a Death Adder, and they're smooth, but these Hotline Games ones are just ridiculous. I don't understand, what they do. But, had some comments, actually just one commenter, on a previous post that I made about the Nixius Rivals just the end. And, with these, there's a reason that I'm shooting at bots, and it's not to show that I'm a good Counter-Strike player. If I wanted to show that I were a good Counter-Strike player, I'd stream, my scrims or my matches or some shit like that, right? But what I'm trying to show is that this mouse does not malfunction, right? So when you see me, flicks in an aimbots thing, I'm just trying to say, hey, I'm flicking relatively fast, as fast as you, especially with the op, as fast as you probably would be doing in game, if you're not a professional player, which I'm not by any means. It's as fast as you would be doing in game, and you notice that it's not malfunctioning at all, or I'm just getting incredibly lucky. There's always that option, and I'm just super lucky. But I will say that I'm never lucky. You can, tune in my Hearthstone streams if you don't believe me about that. But, see. I can't really see the dashboard. Yeah, just fucking TJ talking. I feel like I'm wasting a lot. But hey, maybe this will be something I do. We'll see what the feedback is from other things. Spray control of the I'm the worst rifler in the